Hello family, my name is Chris. I am your home gamer dad. Don't mind the baby on my lap. My wife and I are still kind of working through just various things in order to be able to make sure that she can go and get some sleep and whatnot, and I can hold on to him and take care of him while also still being able to do this. So, do what you gotta do, live how you gotta live. At least you'll be able to see the little one every so often. But besides him and whatnot, today I want to talk to you guys about a grand festival that is going on right now. Many of you probably know that already, and that is all about Gloomhaven. The new, the old, and the recently announced buttons and bugs. Love it or hate it, Gloomhaven has a huge impact on the board gaming world. It is probably one of the most popular, large-scale dungeon crawling games out there, and it has spawned a ton of other ones that have come out afterwards. And I know that there was a bunch beforehand as well, but there was just something about Gloomhaven itself that attracted a lot of people to it. And it's like, I talked to my friend Paul about it the other day, and his actual words are, I hate that I love this game. And it's because of things like the Grand Festival that just came out with the second edition of Gloomhaven, along with all of the other things and minis and Frosthaven and this, that, and the other thing that came with it and whatnot. In any event, what was announced that I was very excited for, and something I wasn't expecting at all, was the extremely condensed, small, single-player experience of buttons and bugs. Not a big fan of the name. I get why they named it that way, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I was very surprised to see that, and honestly, it's not a bad price. To explain a little further, why don't we head on over to the Grand Festival over on Backerkit.com, and this way I can kind of go into a little bit more details about buttons and bugs. I keep wanting to say buttons and bows. That's what Minnie says nowadays. That's like her big catchphrase, buttons and bows. Trust me, my kids watch Disney all the time, so that's what I constantly want to say. It's buttons and bugs. Why it intrigued me so much, a little bit more of like kind of where it started, and then like just how it plays, what it looks like, and why I have decided to back that one part of Gloomhaven from the entire festival. You're right, my little dude? Even the Grand Festival isn't going to wake him up, at least right now. 3 o'clock in the morning, he'll be awake for the rest of the night, but for right now, I think he's pretty good. Alright, so, Gloomhaven Grand Festival. Hooray, hurrah, and all that in between. So right off the hop, we get buttons and bugs right here. Just the main shot, because as I think, as much as it's awesome at all the things that they announced for this or whatever, I think buttons and bugs is probably the big thing, just a new version of Gloomhaven that anybody could find and anybody can pick up and play. A much simpler version, very much like Jaws of the Lion, but again, it's single player. And then just to kind of go over a little bit, I kind of wanted to talk about the Grand Festival because I wasn't backing anything. I really had no reason to, but at least here you get to see Gloomhaven 2nd Edition, just the changes in one. I'll go over that maybe a little bit later at the end of the video. The role-playing game, just so much stuff here. The minis that you can find for both Frosthaven and Gloomhaven. I'm actually surprised Frosthaven isn't part of this at all because that's a big shtick as well. But yeah, there's just so much for this Grand Festival right here, and it could get very expensive. But what we want to really worry about is the small, cheaper version of Gloomhaven. And here we go, introducing Gloomhaven, buttons and bugs. I do like how the O's in Gloomhaven are buttons. It's kind of nice little touch there in order to differentiate this particular game's logo from the rest of the saga. Very nice. I'm trying to find this as a PNG. I'll probably have to make it at some point, but it's really cool. Anyway, one player, 20 minutes per scenario. There's like 20 scenarios in this or so, and then ages 10 plus, as would be the case. So basically, the storyline for this is you have this aftermath reason fans reclusive hail this person right here kind of wanted to cut themselves off from the rest of the world, so they have this door, and then anybody that walks through the door is shrunk down to minuscule size, to the size of a button or a bug. I would guess a bug the size of a button, because buttons are kind of standard size, bugs can come all different ones, but whatever. I like it because it's like, it's a meta thing, because not only is the game itself significantly smaller compared to base Gloomhaven, but your hero is also significantly smaller. So the whole concept, they're really playing to the bit here of everything shrinking down and just becoming so compact and so easily followed that way. Love the way that they do that. Now, there is a video on this. I'm not going to play it as I normally do, but it does give a little bit more of a background in terms of like just how the game overall plays, just a quick synopsis of it, what you can expect from it, and of course, the size. Size does matter, and it is very important in Buttons and Bugs because this one is basically telling you that you can set up and play a scenario in under 20 minutes. And I have seen the developer actually play a round of this, and there's a few more plays that you can find online right now, especially after this has already been released, that really play to that. Like, it's very simple to set up. You throw down some cards, some cubes, and everything. And because you're only one hero, everything you do is just kind of you going in there and, all right, I'm doing this. Now it's the enemy turn. Now I'm doing this. Now it's the enemy turn. Because if it's multiple players, then the game scales up to however many heroes you have in order to complete certain scenarios. So it just works out so much better, and it's just a faster version of Gloomhaven, which I absolutely love. I mean, again, love the original so much. It takes forever to set up a map because of all those tiles. Love Jaws of the Lion because you can just flip to a page and just get it going from there. And this one I think is just equally as equally as well. 108 millimeters by 78 millimeters by 75 millimeters. Not 100% sure exactly how that stacks out, but I know that there's a picture somewhere out there of this sitting on top of a Gloomhaven box, and it is just a many Earths can fit in the sun, many Buttons and Bugs can fit in a Gloomhaven, that's for sure. Here you go, 22 scenario cards right here, 6 character minis, and these are not the final sculpts, but again, this is a one-player game. You're playing one character, you're going to choose one of these 6 people to play as, and then go through the game. That means then you can go back through it with another character. This is 6 playthroughs of 22 characters, okay? I'm not going to do the math right now because I'm holding a baby and I'm really more concentrating on that right now. There's the math somewhere on the screen just to let you know exactly if you were to do all 22 scenarios with all 6 characters, how many scenarios you have. And at 20 minutes apiece, that can add up to a lot of playtime, which is kind of a thing that Gloomhaven is known for. Something that's a huge campaign that really constantly brings you back and keeps you engaged for a long time. You have a health dial because you're the only one there. The character cards, as you would expect from standard Gloomhaven, that show you their level up structures. You can only go up to level 5 here, which is really cool. And then what their health is from there. Every character has 8 cards to them, and I'll explain like all their cards and everything and how that works. The progress modifiers are really cool, by the way. There's this special dice that are in there. The way that the enemies work, I was really upset when the Gloomhaven helper got removed. I have it on this computer that I'm working on right now, but it doesn't work on my phone anymore or anything like that. The way that they have this set up in terms of like what the enemies do, what their AI works with and everything, so smart. I love the way this works out. Let's see, alternate monster difficulties. Yeah, you need that. Condition cards, and then, okay, here you go. Yeah, modifier trays. So basically the way it works is if you see this minus circle and a plus, you have this dice right here, and you roll that, and you have one of those 3 symbols show up. And depending on which one you're on, so here you are. Here's your, I think this is your deck. One of these is the hero card. Maybe it's this one over here. And you see it's -1, 0, and then like another symbol here. You roll the dice, and wherever this cube is, you take that, you take the symbol that you rolled, you match it up, and that's how you modify your attack. It is so cool. You don't need a modifier deck to do this. I don't know if there's a way to like change everything. There has to be a way in order to level up that and like get rid of maybe some of the negative ones or stuff like that. But oh man, it's just so cool watching that happen. And then of course, after you're done with that, the cube moves down one, so now you have a completely different row that you're working with. So instead of reshuffling back cards, you're moving the cube straight down and then swinging it back up and doing it again. So cool the way that was like designed and whatnot. The designers are so smart on this. I'm not going to completely read through these. You can always pause the screen or go to the Grand Festival itself to read them. But, you know, designers, I just mentioned them. How awesome are they? We have Joe here that was one of the designers and Nikki, one of the designers. Guys, that's amazing. You guys did a fantastic job just from what I'm visually seeing other people play and reading this and seeing that and everything. And it makes me excited. This is one of the big reasons I back games. If I can see the way a game is played, it makes me want to play it, and it gets me excited, it gets me hyped, and I want that to hit the table in order for me to experience it. So that's one of the big reasons why I back something like this. All right, let's go over the gameplay really quickly here. Each scenario is a single card pitting one mercenary against a handful of enemies with a simplified action and AI. So that's really all the scenarios are. You get yourself your map layout, you get any obstacles that are on it and whatnot, and then the enemies spawn. Your whole job is to go in there and defeat them. What makes this really cool is that you have a hand of 4 cards. That's it, 4 cards. But each one of the cards are double-sided, an A side and a B side. You start with all A side cards, and then once you play an A, instead of that card going to your discard pile, it flips over to the B side and then comes back to your hand, which I think is absolutely amazing. It's a great way in order to save on space, because again, everything has to fit into these small boxes and whatnot, but it also makes it very interesting in order to like see what combos you can pull out. Which cards do you play first? And when they flip over, how do they work better with other cards that you have? And then once you play the B card, it then goes into the discard pile. Now, there are cards that are still lost. This is a Gloomhaven game. As you play cards, you lose them from your overall hand, which represents the stamina that your hero goes through whenever going through various scenarios. I think there are cards on there that also just get lost regardless. But otherwise that, after you've used all 4 of your cards twice, once on the A side and once on the B side, that's when you got to take your rest. Long rest for a whole turn where you get to choose which card is lost, but then you gain some health, or a short rest where you don't lose a turn, you go right into it, but you don't gain any health back, and you have to lose a card at random. Determine monster group initiatives and actions for each round by rolling the die for each group whenever the lowest initiative acts first. So this is a way of figuring out when monsters get to go first. There's not a stack of cards for each monster to say what they're going to do. Each monster is their card. You put it on one of these preset background pieces, and then if you have multiple of the same monster, you just kind of put them on top of each other. Their health is tracked through these cubes right here, which is great. I love it. And then it's all about rolling these dice. It's all about rolling this plus minus circle, whatever, in order to figure out things like initiative, what their specials are, what their attacks are, things along that way. Every monster has their own unique one. So if you look down here for this beetle thing, you roll the minus, you look here. I don't know what it did. Oh, this must be the initial initiative. So it has initiative 13. If you roll the minus, it's 13. It's a circle. It's 25. A plus is a 59. And of course, whoever has the lowest initiative will go first. So you have to be careful in what you roll. And then to determine what they do, again, really just as a roll of the dice. They have 7 health. They have 2 natural shielding. I forget what this is. I think that they cause wounds. But then that also shows what they can do. Attacking, movement, another attack, 2 movement, a 3-point attack, movement, and a double attack. And that all depends on what you roll with that plus minus circle dice. It's such a cool way to do it. I love rolling dice. I love custom dice or whatever. And I think that's just a great way in order to incorporate random monster movement, random monster AI, but at such a simple form, which is great. And then, of course, on your boards themselves, you have your hero. The monster you're fighting is represented by the color cube. So you have the pink cube here, or purple cube here, I should say. And then as you fight this purple cube, this is where you keep track of all the health. So this way you know they're a 1-for-1 deal. The interesting thing about Buttons and Bugs compared to other Gloomhaven is you usually have options here, like an attack and a move. So you always have an attack and a move in Jaws of the Lion and the original. That's not the case here. They don't have those. But when you play 2 cards every turn, which is what you're supposed to do, you would choose the top of one of them and the bottom of the other in order to be able to do your actions. And then, of course, you pick whatever initiative you want in order to put into the pool. Lowest goes first. You almost always want to use the lowest one. So even though they don't have those same actions, there are a lot more versatility to some of these cards because, I mean, these don't really show too much. That's a 6 attack. That is massive. But I guess if you're by yourself, you gotta. There's a lot of cards that I'm seeing also that have movement on top in addition to movement on the bottom. So they're not putting you in a situation where you can't get out of a place, where you can't move, where you can't get yourself away from danger. There's still a lot of strategy involved. Don't get me wrong. Especially when you have to roll your die in order to modify however your attack is. But just keep that in mind as you play. I'm just seeing if there's anything else here. Oh, that grants a shield. That's fun. And then after you use it, so here you go. So B, so those are Bs. They would go to the discard pile. And then end around is you've defeated everything in one awesome or you have died. So this I didn't really look into too much. The leveling and progression, which is great because it's Gloomhaven. You're leveling up your characters. You're getting them stronger as they should be. There are 8 of these cards for each character, but you only start with 4, which means as you level up, you will be able to swap out cards. You always have to have the same amount of cards in your hand. That's always going to be the case, but it looks like you'll be able to swap them out for stronger ones. You'll be able to upgrade your modifier cards. I'd love to see how that works out. And this is cool. I've never seen this. The first time I'm seeing this here, at least for Buttons and Bugs. Each scenario doubles as an item card. You finish the scenario, you get yourself an item. That's great. I love it. And then the basic credits for Buttons and Bugs. But that's really it. That is the simplest way to do it. You play a scenario, you put your guy down, you put all the monsters on, and you go in, you defeat them. Hey, you won, awesome. You get the card as an item. You move on to this next scenario. I'm sure that there's a lot more to this game. There's a lot more details. I know that there's an actual storyline behind this and everything that you're going to be able to go. But again, the simplicity of it all and the ease of it is really one of the main reasons that I backed Buttons and Bugs and why I'm very excited for it. Now, the thing is, how much does it cost? A little oddly framed based on where my screen capture program is, but yes, you're reading that right. Buttons and Bugs, with all of that I mentioned in terms of the gameplay and what you get in the box and everything, even held in your hand, because you can tell it's really, really small like that, $15. I mean, I'm pretty sure the shipping will be probably like $6 or $7 or whatever. But even still, the retail version of this is going to be 20 bucks. So this is an amazing price for this. So they dropped it down a little bit just for the Grand Festival, and you'll be able to get it for a really, really good price, plus shipping, of course. Or you can wait till it hits retail. I'm almost guaranteed that this is going to be hitting retail. The main Gloomhaven doesn't appear in like big box retail stores like Target, but I do see Jaws of the Lion all over the place there. And of course, Gloomhaven itself is so popular that most friendly local game stores, if not all of them, carry some form of it, whether it be one or two of the Gloomhavens. I'm sure you'll see Frosthaven come up at some point, Jaws of the Lion, and then of course, Buttons and Bug is going to be on their shelves. Almost a guarantee. Before I end this, I do just kind of want to scroll through a little bit for the Grand Festival here, just to show you guys out there exactly what's available for this entire Gloomhaven bonanza that's going on. And I also did back other things besides this. Well, one other thing, but we'll get to that. So Buttons and Bugs is like probably the main one. It is the featured one right now as like the new style of Gloomhaven, and simpler and easier for people to pick up and things along that ways. The RPG Gloomhaven, which is also very new. I think this is the first time they're doing that as well. That has its own set of like books and minis and things along that ways. I'm skipping that completely because I don't do the tabletop RPGs. I'd love to one day, but I just don't have the time or the group to do that. Gloomhaven second edition itself is $130 here. I think that's what is that? What's that MSRP? Is it 180 one MSRP? I don't quite remember off the top of my head. But, you know, a lot of people get it because it's second edition. And if you don't have first edition Gloomhaven, I will still sit there and say you should pick this up at the very least, because Gloomhaven is a fantastic game overall. If you've never played the first one, if you don't have the first one, definitely grab the second one. They do have these solo scenarios, which I was really, really tempted to pick up. But because it's second edition, I don't think it would compare or work well with my version of Gloomhaven. And I don't want second edition. I really don't want it right now. You have the removable sticker set for second editions. This way, you don't have to like you legacy through the game putting stickers on it, but at least here you'll be able to reset it if you want. I was really thinking about doing these class upgrades, which is pretty much updated sculpts, updated cards, and a few other things, as you can see right there, that make the hero characters from the original Gloomhaven 2.0 compatible of sorts, where you could use them with the original Gloomhaven, because the game is basically the same. Story is the same, maps are the same, things along that ways. It's just they look a little bit different in 2.0. They're a little bit nicer. I think a few of them are switched around a little bit, like redesigned, but generally not. At the very least, you could use all the new hero skills and abilities and balances in 1.0 with this upgrade. I'm actually skipping this one because $75 is quite a bit. I really don't want to spend that on just, I know there's a lot of figures in there, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it would really work well enough with me in order to justify it. All right, moving on, we just have a few other small things that you can add onto your game. Here's all the Frosthaven stuff. And again, Frosthaven is something I'm going to pick up eventually. It's just not going to be anytime soon. Probably not until at least I finish the first Gloomhaven stuff, which is still going to be a long time from now. But Frosthaven is really cool. I like a lot of the new mechanics and the new ideas that are within it. The item system in it is way better than Gloomhaven, but even still, really cool. Minis, I have more than enough minis. I don't paint any minis or whatever, so I can skip those completely. But everything has minis from the original Gloomhaven all the way to Jaws of the Lion, as you can see. There's Frosthaven ones. If you need a mini for your game, you can just grab them right here. And this is actually another thing I did pick up. I did end up purchasing the Forgotten Circles expansion, which is the Gloomhaven expansion, which comes with a new character, a few new scenarios, and then it just adds to the base game, and it still adds to the 1.0 version of it, which is kind of why I wanted to pick it up. It's $30, which in my opinion is a great price. I don't have any local game stores really that would carry this, and I see it on Amazon for like $70 to $80, and I'm like, nah, I can skip that. But at $30 and adding that to the $15 that I did for Buttons and Bugs, I justified it that way, and I think it would be really cool to add to the game. So that's pretty much everything that's to offer right now during the Grand Festival. It's a lot. It's massive. If you're a diehard Gloomhaven fan, then man, you got so much coming for you. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. There you have it, everyone. Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs, the next addition to the Gloomhaven universe. Between the original Jaws of the Lion, Frosthaven, this second edition, I'll have a lot of Gloomhaven to find and play that'll last me for years to come. Probably well into your college days, my friend. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think about Buttons and Bugs? Is this something that interests you? I know solo gameplay is not for everyone, but is it something that you intrigued, you raised an eyebrow to, and kind of curious for? Have you backed anything else for the Gloomhaven grand finale thing here? Grand Festival, whatever. Because hopefully it's not going to be the finale. You know there's going to be plenty more Gloomhaven things coming down the future. And then also what it is that you're excited for, speaking of which, of stuff coming down the future for Gloomhaven or for anything else that you happen to back. Guys, thank you again for coming out and hanging out with me and my little dude right here as we talked about Gloomhaven, Buttons and Bugs, and all the other stuff that's out there and whatnot. Little guy here also says that if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Home Gamer Dad so you don't miss any future Gloomhaven action, which is going to be either Buttons and Bugs once we finally get that physical copy here for the table, or the digital version of Gloomhaven and Jaws of the Lion, by the way, when that actually hits the Switch in September. I'm absolutely going to be picking that up, no questions asked. If you're in the position to help the channel even further, a super thanks is always welcome. You can find those down in the description section below, or you can head on over to patreon.com/homegamerdad in order to join the growing Patreon family over there. Special thanks to Chris Catalano and Dave Scott, who are my first two Patreons over there. Guys, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys heading on over and checking that out and joining up to that. Again, anybody out there, if you want to do that, by all means. If not, your views, your likes, your comments are always very appreciated. We love it, right, buddy? Yeah, we do. As always, take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together. Thank you again. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I really can't wait to start teaching you and your brothers most of these games. Probably won't be doing Gloomhaven anytime soon, but we got plenty of other options ahead of us. So until next time, we will see you later. Take care, everyone.